The forgotten founder. It began like a misunderstanding. An old black man in worn clothes stepped quietly through the doors of a well-polished Chase branch in downtown Rockwell. He said only one sentence: "This bank is mine." The moment the words left his mouth, the room dissolved into laughter. Short, sharp, dismissive. A few customers glanced up from their phones. Others didn't bother hiding their smirks. One woman clutched her purse tighter, her diamond rings catching the fluorescent lights as she cast a glance of discomfort and suspicion. Behind the counter, a junior teller whispered to a colleague, "Must have wandered in by mistake. Maybe he thinks this is a soup kitchen." The colleague chuckled. "Poor guy. Looks like he got lost between the alley and reality." Still, the man didn't flinch. He stood in the center of the lobby, wrapped in a long brown coat patched with mismatched fabric. His gray curls were uncombed, and his shoes were so worn that parts of the soles curled upward like leaves in the sun. But his eyes, sharp, dark, and unwavering, were fixed not on the people, but on the floor beneath his feet. Then came Stephen Murdoch, a security guard with a buzz cut and a body built for intimidation. Murdoch walked up with his hand resting on his belt, not his gun, but near enough to make a statement. "Sir," he said, with the tone of someone speaking to a child, "you can't be here making noise and confusing customers. I'm going to need you to leave. Now." The old man didn't move. "I'm not confused," he said evenly. "This bank took something from me a long time ago. I've come to take it back." The air in the lobby shifted. Some people paused. Others smirked harder, convinced they were watching the early stages of a mental health episode. Behind the desk, James Temple, the branch manager, a clean-cut man with a carefully trimmed beard and MBA sharpness, stepped out. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave," James said, keeping his voice low but firm. "You've got the wrong place." The old man slowly set down the frayed canvas bag he carried on his shoulder. It looked ancient, the fabric worn thin at the corners, the zipper rusted. "I don't have the wrong place," he said. "I have the right bank. You just have the wrong history." That's when he reached into the bag. Tension followed immediately. Murdoch took a step closer, ready to intervene. A few customers stepped back. The laughter stopped, not out of concern for what he might pull out, but because something in the old man's movements told them this wasn't the comedy act they thought it was. What he pulled out wasn't a weapon. It was a book, a ledger, wrapped in old oilskin and tied with a leather string. He set it gently on the check-writing counter, undid the knot, and opened it. Yellowed pages. Faded handwriting. On the inside cover was a name etched in careful cursive. Charles Elijah Kirby, 1948. "My name," he said, "is Charles Elijah Kirby. I founded this bank 75 years ago, and now I'm here to prove it." A collective hush fell over the room. Temple tried to recover. "That's not possible," he said. "This bank has always been owned by the Matthews family. Since the beginning." "No," Kirby replied, flipping the page. "Since they took it from me." Murdoch's grip on his belt loosened. Slowly, so did the certainty in Temple's posture. Kirby turned the ledger around. It wasn't just a diary. It was an original business record. A founding document with signatures. His own. And another. John E. Matthews. The crowd leaned in. The silence became heavier. "My partner back then," Kirby said, not raising his voice. "Matthews helped me start it. But he also helped push me out once the bank became successful. He said people wouldn't trust a black man with money. He said we'd lose business if the public knew I owned the institution. He promised I'd always be credited, but then erased my name from everything. The board, the building, even the ledgers. Everything except this one." Temple took a shaky step forward. I don't know what this is supposed to prove." "It proves," Kirby said, his voice sharpening, "that your whole history is a lie built on theft." He reached into the bag again. This time, what he pulled out stunned everyone even more. Stacks of old money, neatly bound in faded bank wrappers bearing Chase's original logo, one not used in decades. A symbol so old even Temple, who prided himself on knowing bank history, had never seen it in person. "These were the original bank reserves," Kirby said. Funds I personally deposited to secure our first charter. I kept them. When they kicked me out, I left the bank, but not the dream. I kept the proof. No one spoke. Murdoch backed away a full step now. His posture, once so rigid, was softening. Temple opened the ledger. His hands shook as he read line after line, date after date. The ink was faded, but the story was clear. Kirby had indeed founded the bank. His name was all over the earliest pages. Then, after 1951, nothing. His name vanished, as if he'd never existed. This can't be real, Temple whispered. We've researched our founders. There's nothing, because they made sure there was nothing. Kirby interrupted. They didn't just take the bank. They rewrote the history, erased it, and now you stand in it, proud of a legacy built on a lie. One of the tellers stepped forward. Emily Carter, 24. Quiet. She picked up one of the old bills from the counter and examined it closely. Then, without saying a word, she placed it back down and stepped beside Kirby. I believe you, she said. The room shifted again. Another teller followed. Then another. One by one, employees of the branch walked up, picked up a bill or a document, looked at it, and placed it on the counter beside Kirby. No one cheered. No one shouted. But something in the room cracked open. Murdoch didn't move. His face was flushed. This is a scam, he barked. These are forgeries. You can't just walk in here and claim to own a bank. Someone call the police. Temple held up a hand. No one's calling the police. Murdoch turned on him. Are you serious? He's not lying. Murdoch's mouth opened, but nothing came out. This, Temple said, lifting the ledger, is real. I've seen enough to know that. His voice trembled, but not from fear. This man built something, and we took it. Maybe not you and me personally, but this institution, this system. We buried him and paved the way forward like it never happened. That ends today. A customer began to clap. Then another. It spread, slow, uneven, unsure at first. But it grew. Kirby didn't smile. He just closed the ledger and slid it gently back into his bag. He looked at Temple. This isn't about applause, he said. It's about acknowledgement. It's about truth. I know, Temple said. Kirby turned toward the door. Wait, Temple called. What happens now? Kirby looked over his shoulder. Now, he said. Now, you decide what kind of bank you want to be. And he walked out. The room stayed frozen for a moment longer, like everyone was waiting for something else to happen. Nothing did, because everything already had. In the days that followed, the story made the news. Temple submitted the documents to the National Board. Investigations were launched. History was rewritten. A week later, a new plaque appeared on the wall inside the bank, next to the founding photo of John Matthews. It read, Charles Elijah Kirby, 1919, co-founder of Chase Bank, 1948. Visionary, builder, betrayed, but not broken, and underneath, in smaller text, some names may be forgotten by history, but not forever. Kirby never came back to the branch. He didn't have to. His truth had walked in before him and stayed behind, like a shadow now finally seen.